Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever looked out your window in late autumn, seen the gray skies, and wondered if November could actually be the hidden gem month for your garden? A lot of people just completely pack up their spades and trowels the second that first frost hits, figuring the gardening year is totally over. But we're going to unlock its secrets together today. Because honestly, the work you put in right now, it's the absolute secret to a lush, thriving landscape next year. Let's dive right into this. It's so easy to look at those bare branches and just assume everything is shutting down, right? But we really need to reframe how we think about November. It is definitely not a dead period. Actually, from an agronomic standpoint, this month is a critical bridge. It's the bridge between this year's harvest and next year's bounty. Everything you do right now is all about preserving your plants, setting up your soil chemistry, and giving yourself a massive head start for the spring. There's this quote from the source material that I absolutely love. In the fall coolness, life begins again and again. It just perfectly sets up our overarching theme today, which is rest and rebirth. Sure, the visible foliage might be dying back, but beneath the surface, life is really just shifting gears. So before we get into the hard science and agronomic facts, keep this idea of rebirth in the back of your mind. We aren't closing the garden down, we're just tucking it in so it can wake up stronger. Now, if you're a beginner, looking at a huge list of autumn chores can feel incredibly overwhelming. So here's our roadmap to keep things simple. We'll cover garden dynamics, winter preparation, planting and sowing, maintaining plants, tools and equipment, and finally, planning ahead. Section 1. Garden Dynamics, Understanding the November Shift. So, above ground, as the temperatures drop, the sap stops flowing and vegetative growth just completely stalls out. But down below ground, that is where the magic is happening. The soil retains its physical passability, which means active root absorption is still taking place. The microbial breakdown of organic matter is still going strong. Basically, your soil is very much alive, and it's hungry. Section 2. Winter Preparation, Soil Care and Fertilizing. All right, a crucial step here is getting your mechanical soil work done. First things first, clear out all the dead plants. And hey, this isn't just to make things look pretty. Lingering debris is exactly where fungal spores, like powdery mildew and nasty pests, overwinter. Just get rid of them. Step 2 is to deep plow your soil to about 25 to 30 centimeters. This brings all those overwintering caterpillars and larvae right up to the surface where the winter frost will take care of them for you. And step 3, this is a brilliant time saver. If you have heavy clay soil, leave the clods unbroken. When the water inside those clods freezes and expands over the winter, it naturally fractures the clay. It is literally nature's own rototiller, leaving you with perfectly loose soil by spring. But hold on, before you go adding any nutrients to that beautifully tilled soil, we really need to talk about soil pH. The ideal range for most plants is between 5.5 and 7.0. Applying fertilizers blindly is a huge mistake. Why? Well, if your soil is highly acidic, meaning the pH is too low, it actually makes those vital nutrients completely unavailable to your plant roots. It even increases the toxicity of things like aluminum and manganese. So you've always got to test your soil with a pH meter or litmus paper first. Once you actually know your pH, then it's time to choose your fertilizer. In autumn, we're focusing entirely on slow-release fertilizers that build strength, not fast leafy growth. Triple superphosphate is fantastic for root strengthening. You'll want to apply that at 30 to 60 kilograms per deca. Potassium sulfate is your go-to for building frost resistance. And if your soil tested acidic, like under 6.0, dolomite flour is going to be your best friend to neutralize it. But listen up, here's a massive warning from our sources. Never mix lime products, like dolomite, directly with manure. The chemical reaction creates ammonia gas, which completely destroys the valuable nitrogen in your manure. So definitely keep those applications separated. Section 3. Planting and sowing. Crops that love the cold. Believe it or not, November's climatic window is actually perfect for crops that don't mind the chill. We're talking about winter garlic, winter onions, spinach, and winter peas. These specific plants have a physiological minimum that allows them to slowly keep growing even when temperatures are just sitting between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius. And hey, if you live somewhere where the outdoor temperatures have already dropped way too low for that, no worries. November is the absolute perfect time to start an indoor windowsill herb garden. Grab some rosemary, thyme, or basil, and just make sure they get plenty of light. Let's look a bit closer at winter garlic, because the methodology here is pretty fascinating. If you want to guarantee a healthy, pest-free crop next year, you'll want to follow these exact steps. First, break apart your garlic bulbs and select only the really large outer cloves, specifically ones that weigh over 3 grams. Next, for phytosanitary protection, soak them in a 1% potassium permanganate solution or just a mild saltwater mix for a couple of hours. This is a game changer for preventing fungal pathogens and root mites. Finally, plant them 4 to 6 centimeters deep and space them about 8 to 10 centimeters apart. You want to try and do this about 10 to 15 days before the hard night frosts arrive. That way, they have time to establish roots without actually sprouting above ground. Moving right along to Section 4, Maintaining Plants, Pruning and Protection. Now, when it comes to autumn pruning and protection, there are a few golden rules. You absolutely want to prune off dead branches, diseased wood, soft tips, and any flowers that are still hanging on. Why? Because cutting the plant back forces it to stop its sap flow. Think about it. If a plant is full of sap and a hard freeze hits, that cellular liquid expands and literally bursts the plant tissues from the inside out. Pruning stops that. But on the flip side, you have to physically protect sensitive root bases and tree trunks from those exact same freezing temperatures. 15 to 20 centimeters. Memorize that number because it is the sweet spot for your rose bushes. The absolute most effective method for winterizing your roses is to mound soil right up over the base of the bush to a height of 15 to 20 centimeters. It basically acts as a cozy thermal blanket, protecting those highly sensitive roots from winter death. And we certainly can't ignore the lawn. A few simple steps right now will basically guarantee a dense green carpet in the spring. First, rake up all those fallen leaves. If you just leave them there, they block out light and trap moisture, which is basically an open invitation for fungal rot and moss to take over. Also, when you do your final mow of the season, do not cut the grass shorter than 5 centimeters. Taller grass captures the scarce winter sunlight way better and it naturally resists weeds. Finish up by aerating the soil so the roots can breathe and apply a high potassium fertilizer to build up that frost resistance we talked about. Section 5. Tools and Equipment. Winterizing your gear. It's time to brave the shed. Take an inventory right now so you know exactly what needs replacing. Make sure to clean off all the dirt and plant sap. Sap holds onto moisture and disease, which we don't want. Grab a little sandpaper and scrub away any rust before it really sets in for the winter. Sharpen up your cutting blades and make sure everything is stored in a clean, dry place. Seriously, taking 30 minutes to do this right now prevents so much winter damage, and it guarantees you'll be fully armed for that heavy spring workload. And finally, Section 6. Planning ahead. Vision for the spring. You know all those seed catalogs piling up? Now is the time to organize them and actually map out next year's crop rotation. Why is crop rotation so important, you ask? Well, planting the exact same crops in the exact same spot year after year completely depletes the soil of specific nutrients, and it invites recurring soil-borne diseases. So group your vegetables like your root crops, legumes, brassicas, and plan a rotation schedule. Mapping out your future layout right now ensures you don't make any silly mistakes during the frantic rush of spring planting. So, as we've seen, November really is the ultimate bridge to a thriving garden. By clearing out debris, testing and feeding your soil, planting those cold-hardy crops, pruning back vulnerable plants, and maintaining your tools, you're literally transforming November from the end of the year into the foundation of next year's success. Every single task you cross off your list right now is a massive head start for the spring. I would absolutely love to hear from all of you. What's your most essential November gardening tip? Or do you have a super specific method for overwintering your favorite plants? Let us know down in the comments. Gardening is all about sharing regional experiences, and your tip might just hit the nail on the head and save someone else's garden. Just a quick heads up before we wrap things up, always make sure to consult your local gardening experts or resources for region-specific guidance, because climates and frost dates vary drastically depending on where you live. Thank you so much for learning with the explainer today. So I leave you with this. When you look out at those bare branches tomorrow morning, ask yourself, what unseen life are you going to nurture today? Happy gardening!